What up, my peoples? This is day 16 of the INL 90-day video challenge. Yesterday was a rough day, and it was rough because I had a breakthrough in a bunch of areas and was putting energy to break through in another area, and people were calling upon me to help them with their breakthrough, and they were getting it. And lo and behold, when I came home, I saw some light from what I was working on. And at one point in the struggle, I was like, I didn't have the energy to put into my game like I wanted to. And someone on Facebook had did a post and said, "Are you ready to quit?" And man, that sparked something in me. I was like, hell no, whatever. I was like, never. And they had posted it right when I posted my 90-day challenge video. So I put the video in the comments. And I said all that to say this. I don't care what it looks like. It's real that you're going to have some real struggles. But you have to have a made-up mind. It's like if you look at a boat, that huge ship is directed by a little small rudder in the back. And a lot of times, see, I was in the Navy. I was a sailor. A lot of times when the storm would be really rough, you would think, oh, okay, you know, turn up the engines and just steam your way through. That's not how it happens. When the storm was really rough and it's pitching the boat from side to side, you slow them engines down and you go at a pace that it seems like you're not moving, you're not going anything, you're not doing anything, but you are combating the elements. Instead of putting energy against energy, what you're doing is you're riding with the energy that you've been given. You know, and one of the things that I constantly find myself doing is going back to that $1 million day training and reorganizing my life and asking myself, why am I attracting these situations to myself? And it's an opportunity for me to evaluate how I'm playing. You know, so one of the tools that I feel that everybody should have is to be able to step outside of your own conversation and evaluate yourself. Not judge yourself, but inspect your fruits. You know, like if you're doing something to get a positive outcome and it's not happening, then there's something that you're putting in that game to cause that outcome. And one of the things I learned is that own all your results. Because if you own all your results, you are now becoming proactive about your life, and you are orchestrating it now. When you become reactive, you're giving up the control, being the rudder in your situation. When you are proactive, you are the rudder of your situation. So if you're being proactive and you're incorrect, or I don't like to say wrong, I like to say inaccurate, because wrong has a stigmatism attached to it. I don't like to use that word. So when you're inaccurate and you address it, you go back in and you put in the correction and make yourself accurate. It's like you're a singer, you think you're singing G, you're singing G flat, all you do is correct it. You know, so there's a big picture that's going on and there's a small picture. And what I learned is that you have got to be in both conversations. When your big picture conversation and your small picture conversation are in sync with one another, you become flexible to be able to adapt to any situation. And I'm gonna give you a for instance. One of the things that I like about INL is it gives me a big picture scenario. I'm not in this alone, and I can draw strength off of that. But it also gives me a small picture scenario. It gives me tools to do right now that I can do as an individual to contribute not only to my success, but the success of the whole. So that's what it is. When you're struggling, when you're feeling overwhelmed, what you're doing is you're taking your small picture scenario and you're applying it to a big picture area. And that's why you feel overwhelmed. You got to switch your mind. But we get something out of that small picture scenario. We get to be the center of attention. We get to feed the small me when we should be feeding the big I. So it's like the difference between me going by my first name and my last name. My last name is Sobers, very famous in the Caribbean, the whole nine. When I go by that, there's a certain prestige that I carry myself with. And there's certain things I won't do. There's a small picture scenario that I am denying to identify with my big picture. And other times, when I'm in an area, I'm in a personal relationship dealing with somebody, I don't let them know about all that other stuff, because that will squelch that one-to-one personal type thing. And real typical of me, inside the house, I am a lamb. Outside of the house, I am a lion. And that's what works for me. So, a bunch of friends of mine only know me inside of the house, and I had took them outside to do some business or whatever, and they were looking at me like, what? They didn't even recognize who I was being. And I forgot that I never was with them outside of the house. I always saw them inside the house. So that's what life is. It's a big picture and a small picture scenario balance. You have to have a symbiotic relationship with who you are to the collective and who you are to yourself. And when one scenario overwhelms the other, you just switch back and forth. And you do which one will get you the result that you want. So you play this game of life for results. Not for the comment about the results, but for results. So when you find something that works, you apply that over and over and over again. And that's when you go generic. That's when you go universal. Because once you have the tools, the rest is just semantics. You just gotta walk it out. So at the end of the day, if you practice successful principles, you will be successful. And the personal part is the reward. The impersonal part is the process. Because everybody is using the same process of realizing on some level that they can do it. Once that light comes on, you got a full head of steam and you just walk it out. So that's my spiel for today. The big picture scenario versus the small picture scenario, and having a symbiotic relationship with